Okay, and at this time, I'd like to call up our City Councilwoman, Christy Martinez Garcia, who will take over the rest of the program and introduce our speakers and everything that will be taking place. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Alice. And will you thank the North Lubbock Neighborhood Association by giving them a round of applause? Every month we meet here at 5:30. And we believe that it's important because, you know, we've got to really work on uniting our community. And by doing so, what it allows us to do, it allows us to empower our community. And I would say that in the past, our neighborhoods sometimes get a little bit overlooked. But I can assure you that we're working collectively as a council, and we have a wonderful staff. Today, I'm pleased to acknowledge several of our folks, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, this is something that we started last month, our Lubbock Police Department, we have representatives coming every single month now, and if they will stand up so that you can get to know them. Stand up, Chief, scooch up a little bit. Thank you, guys. They're here to answer any questions, or if you have any concerns after the meeting, please make it point to go and introduce yourself. And just so you know, we started seeing a little bit of an increase in crime in our neighborhoods. And what we've done, especially in the Arnett Benson neighborhood, we've now increased, thank you, Chief. I told them I need to see something. And we have increased patrolling by triple the number that we were seeing before. So thank you for doing that, because we also want a safe community. So that's very important. We've got a lot of great things happening in the city, and something that I want to remind you, I've got my business card here. You can call, we can schedule a meeting, we can come and just meet and see what needs you have. Right now, we felt like this was something really important in our community. We got to make sure that we are providing you the tools so you know what to do in preparation for this conversion. I know we've all been preparing, and then they put us on pause because of the legislative issues that were occurring, and now here we are, and it's going to be happening in, sorry, good song. That's okay. It's going to be happening, and Matt Rose is going to give you that information in a little bit, but at this point, I'd like to ask all of my city staff, can you hear me okay? No, can you turn it up a little bit? Sorry, stand up, I am standing. Oh, okay. I think they're going to work on the volume. Apologies for that. If the staff will stand up and wave your hand. Yay for my staff. You're not staff. Steve Massengel. I do have one of my colleagues, the council member that sits to my left on the dais, Steve Massengel, who is over District 4? Ours is better than yours, sorry. Can you hear it okay now? Yes, better? Thank you. Yeah, because I was like, I am standing, but anytime that you have needs, I would like to introduce Kristen Murray. Kristen, do you mind standing up? Kristen Murray and Matt Dautre, and then we have Addison. Where's Addison? If ever you need to schedule that meeting, you're welcome to talk to them. We're working on a few issues, lots of campaigns. I know y'all, we have such a problem with loose dogs in all of our neighborhoods. This is a citywide problem, not just our neighborhoods immediately. Citywide problem. Please make sure we have services where you can microchip your dog. If you have like a fence that got torn down, make sure that you get that fixed by calling. We have some assistance for that. In addition, we're dealing with the issue of illegal dumping. If you see something, say something. Don't be afraid to call the regular police number unless it's an emergency. In that case, I would urge you to do that. Call the 911. But we are really trying, but we are asking the public to help us. So if you see something, please say something, because we can't be everywhere. Right now, we're looking for employees. We have part-time positions, full-time positions. So if you're looking for a job, please please look into that. The other thing that I really hope that you'll think about is we have an app. Everybody, if you have your phone, will you take it out real quick? You probably already know this, but there is an app, and it's My LBK. And if you need us to help you, and what you do is you are documenting, you take a picture, you upload it, you can, address whatever issue. It's a great, great app. It's in English, it's in Spanish. Si hablamos español también. And it is a great tool for you, and plus it helps to document so that people see that, there's the issue, and then we try to get it worked on really quickly. I do want to acknowledge, just because I just saw her come in, Marina Garcia, who is the constable for Lubbock County. She's here. The first city councilwoman, Maggie Trejo, who is a friend and mentor. Maggie. We have lots of amazing folks here, and I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to gather all this information. If you have questions, I'm going to hang around throughout the meeting. I will tell you that I had a death in my family, so I will be leaving at about 7 o'clock. But feel free to come, and my staff, there's cards back there. And I just also want to remind you that we are still needing representatives from District 1 to serve on boards and commissions. It's so important when I'm helping to get people placed on those boards and we don't have a pool of people from District 1. I need you. I need you to be the voice of our district, and help us to address issues that you feel are impacting our neighborhoods. We have a variety of areas we can help. You met Alice. Alice is always trying to connect people on that committee as well, and we will do whatever it takes. I also want to recognize, because I know that he got here and he's back there, our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Bill Howerton. Bill, you see him? He's back there. He's a good guy. I've known him, I used to work for the city of Lubbock, so I've known him for a very long time. And once again, I really appreciate you. We've got some handouts if you didn't get any. I even brought some copies of my publication, Latino Lubbock Magazine, that you can pick up every month, and we try to share information there as well. But if there's anything that you need, we are sincerely here to help you. And as a reminder that, we rise by lifting others, and today is National Kindness Day, so I hope that you will be kind to Matt Rose, because he's very easy to pick on. No, I'm just kidding. Matt has been working diligently to share information about the conversion, all the dates, important dates, and really keeping our community safe, because the other thing is we are seeing some scamming happening. So we want to make sure that we prepare you and offer you everything so that you will know how to handle situations or who to be talking to. With that, Matt Rose. Oh, before I introduce you, Matt, I have Dr. Gonzalo Ramirez. Dr. Ramirez is somebody that I appointed to the EUB, the Electric Utility Board. Thank you for serving. And Matt, are you ready? Sure. There you go. Thank you again, and I will be here if you have any questions or need anything. I appreciate you all for being here tonight.
Okay, can everybody hear me in the back of the room? Okay. If at any point in time it starts trailing off or you can't hear me, just raise your hand or shout at me or something. Let me know, and I'll try to make sure everybody can hear this. But we're going to walk through this presentation as I've done in the past for those of you that have come to these types of events. But I'm also going to leave plenty of time on the back end for questions from the entire group so that we can walk through some of the finer points of this. One of the things I've found in speaking to groups over the past year is that it's good to walk through the baseline information. It's good to show you how to shop and the things that you want to look for. But then inevitably, we really get into the meat of the issue when we get to the frequently or the question and answer period on the back end. And then once we break, I'll be here for as long as y'all need answering questions individually. So if you don't get your answer out there during the group session, I'll be here afterwards to help you as much as I possibly can.
And Matt, may I interrupt? In case somebody needs a translator, si necesitan alguien que nomás habla en español, we do have representatives that can also help with that, okay? So we're here to help in English and Spanish.
Yes, and as y'all saw walking in the door, we have different materials that you can take home tonight. But everything that we're handing out tonight, everything that we're talking about, including this presentation on the screen, is on our website at lpnl.com in English and Spanish, available for download. So if you feel like you've missed something or not, feel free to please visit the website as we go through this. So I want to start off real quick, especially for those of you all who attended this presentation in the spring. When we initially got out there and began the public education process on this, not just migration to ERCOT, but this bigger move to competition that we're about to undertake, we did so in the spring. And we did so after we had gotten what we believed was our very last approval necessary to move forward with this project. All the way through, we really started talking about this and working through this in 2015. And all the way through the process, we knew that eventually we'd have to go to the Public Utility Commission of Texas to get our final approval, and we did that in March of this last year. Unfortunately, some folks intervened in Washington, D.C., and so we had to put this on pause and spend some time working through those issues. Luckily, we got everything answered, we got everything resolved, and we're back up here, back on track, and we now can come to you and say that the dates that we're talking about tonight and that you'll see in the media and other places going forward, these dates are locked in, this is real, and this countdown to competition has begun. Initially, when we talked to y'all last spring, we said that we were going to move the remaining customers that have not been connected to the ERCOT grid at the first of the summer. And that after we completed that process, that would begin the countdown to competition, because every single one of our customers, 100%, would now be hooked onto the state grid and therefore eligible for what we're about to go through. And then you were going to pick your providers in August into September, and then starting in October, we were going to transfer you to your new providers. So when we got paused in the late spring, we're out here now, and that new schedule is as follows. By December 11th, we will have completed the migration of the remaining customers to the ERCOT market. If you'll remember, historically, all of our customers were hooked onto the Southwest Power Pool, which is a multi-state grid that starts in Lubbock and runs to Canada. And part of this process is that we've been migrating everybody to the Texas market, or ERCOT. So 70% of our customers were transferred over in Memorial Day of 2021, and we'll be looking to do that again on the weekend of December 12th. And so you'll see us out there in the news and in other places informing customers of what that means for them if they're affected. If you were transferred over in 2021, you won't be affected by this second migration. If you were not, you will be, and the effect will basically be over a Saturday and Sunday period, you will experience an outage that we are estimating at 30 minutes, but when we did this in 2021, it really only took us about 15 minutes because we've got to physically unhook from one grid and hook to the other grid. So what we will do is we will put on our website a tool where you can look up to see if you're affected or not based off of the meter number that's included on your bill, and it'll tell you if you are or not affected, and if you are, it'll give you a general time frame of when you will be affected over that weekend. But the quick rule of thumb is if you were in the business or the residence that you were in 2021, you're affected on that end, you won't be affected on this end and vice versa. So we will migrate the remaining customers over, and then starting on January 5th, all customers will be able to go out and begin shopping for their new provider. You'll have 6 weeks from January 5th to February 15th to pick your provider. And then after that period of time, we'll spend the remaining part of February in a blackout period where we're making sure everybody's connected to where they need to be connected to. And then starting in March, when you would regularly receive your City of Lubbock utilities bill, you will get your final bill from Lubbock Power and Light on that bill. And then starting in April, you will get a bill from the provider that you have chosen, and any and all charges for us maintaining the system will be included on that bill, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we go through this. So that's the general time frame, and as we go through the coming weeks and months, we'll be educating more and more on exactly what these milestones mean. But for today, I just want to start with basically this primer, and then we'll quickly get to the slides that teach us kind of what it is to shop. So very quickly, retail competition for electricity is not unlike shopping for a cell phone or an internet provider. You're going to go out there and decide who you want to do business with. You're going to sign a contract with that entity for some period of time, be it 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. And you will get to agree to whatever price that you're going to pay for that electric plan over that period of time. When we make this transition to the competitive market, LP&L, we will still exist. And our role in all of this will be that we will be the delivery system for the electricity you choose. Anywhere in the state of Texas that has had competition for the last 20 years, if you look at Dallas and Houston as the biggest examples, but here closest to home, San Angelo, Midland, Odessa, Abilene, Wichita Falls. Any of these cities around us that have had it for about 20 years. There is one company or one entity that maintains the poles and the wires and the substations that deliver the electricity. And that's their sole focus. So across the state, you have Encore, you have AEP, and you have CenterPoint as examples, right? That's what LP&L will do, because one entity still needs to exist to maintain the poles and the wires. So we will do that. So when we have outages, our linemen will be out there fixing the lines. Our engineers will still be working on expanding the grid and making sure we have enough capacity to serve future generations. And we will be here to connect and disconnect service on behalf of the reps when they put those work orders in. What we will not do in this new market is be a retail electric provider. We will not be buying or making any power and selling it to customers. We're getting out of that business completely, and our sole business will be the reliability of the system around the city. We won't, so therefore we won't be an option when we go through this process to pick us as a provider. But we also will not be sending bills directly to customers. Your City of Lubbock utilities bill, as it stands today, contains LP&L. But it also contains your other 4 services that you get from the city. Those are outside of LP&L. Those policies and those rates and all of that process is decided by those departments of the city, feeding up through the city manager and the city council. So LP&L will not be on that bill, but you'll still receive that bill to pay for your water, your wastewater, your solid waste, and your stormwater. Your electric bill, where you previously saw it on your COLU bill as LP&L, you'll get it from your provider. It's not unlike if you live in Southwest Lubbock today and you have South Plains Electric Cooperative as your electric provider. You still get your COLU bill from the city. You still get those charges, but then you get your spec bill and you pay your electricity through that. That's what it will be for y'all, except it'll be your chosen provider that you'll be getting your bill from. So when you look at this pie chart right here, this is how our business exists today. The light blue box makes up 30% of your total electric rate. And that light blue box, kind of otherwise known as our base rate, it pays for every single thing that LP&L does, including servicing all of our long-term debt. So every single thing that we do is contained within that 30%. The dark blue in that circle constitutes 70% of your bill. And that is the cost for us to buy or make power on your behalf. Across the United States, your electric rate that you pay, regardless of where you live, it's generally going to be comprised of 1/3 delivery and 2/3 the actual power itself. And so today, we buy this power, and then we just spread it across all customers and pass through that cost. When we make this transition to this new market, we will still be the light blue box. We'll still be 30% of your rate. But that 70% that we used to buy on your behalf, that's where you will now go out and decide where you want to buy that power from, who you want to buy it from, what it looks like, and what the pricing is like. So you'll be shopping for the lion's share of your bill. But I want to say up front, because I see this confusion out there a lot, that this formation that we're going to is exactly how the competitive market works across the state of Texas. We're not setting up a situation where you're paying double. You're still paying. The difference is we're a section of that, but the lion's share of it is what you're going to shop for. So we'll go through that a little bit more, and I know we'll get questions on that as we go forward. So I mentioned the dates. I want to move right through, just straight to our website. If you go to lpnl.com today, this is the homepage of our website. If you click Read More, it will take you to the competition section. You'll start off with a general map showing where we started in 2015 and where we expect to land in March of 2024. There are going to be several different short animated videos that walk you through what competition is and basically the different components of it. The one that we have coming out here shortly. We also, for customers, we're going to have now a list of all of the approved retail electric providers. And we'll talk about that in a second, but we've loaded those up now. You now know who those companies are listed on our website, and you can begin to go through and research those companies. You can't sign up yet. It's January 5th that begins, but you can start looking at that, including key events and dates. We've got a long, frequently asked questions section that keeps growing. It'll grow again after tonight. It's gotten long enough that it now has a search bar on it, but that's good. We want to continue loading up as many questions in there as we possibly can. So now, we're going to get to the section where we actually talk about walking through this. I will tell you up front that there's two ways that you can shop for your next retail electric provider. You can go to our website and you can go through the list of providers, and you can call them and you can talk to them and sign up a contract with them over the phone. Or you can go to the state website, which is powertochoose.org, type in your zip code, and it will populate all the plans available to you, and then you can go through those and compare those. When we get to the point where the shopping window opens, I will have up on our website really big what our all-in rate is with LP&L, because that's the first and most important thing that you're going to want to know. I regularly say customers don't pay a rate, they pay a bill. Meaning you go out to somebody on the street and you say, what's your rate for electricity? Hardly anybody's going to tell you what that is. But they're going to say, I pay $150, $200, $250, right? They'll have some ballpark number of what they know that cost is. For the sake of going through this process, you're going to want to know what your rate is. So like right now, LP&L's all-in rate is 13.2 cents per kilowatt hour. And I'll show you how that compares in here in a second. But that'll be the first thing that you're going to want to know. So, thepowertochoose.org, I suggest you go to lpnl.com and just click on the button that takes you there. There's several websites that mimic this website, and that's why I tell you just go to ours, click the button, you'll know that you're in the right spot. If you go there right now and type in a Lubbock zip code, nothing's going to come up because our market has not opened yet. That will begin January 5th. But what you can do is you can go type in Midland zip code. And that's going to give you a really good idea here today if you were choosing what your options would be. We know that on the website we have 34 different providers that are listed today. If you look at Midland, if you look at Wichita Falls and Abilene, if you look at San Angelo, they've been in this market for 20 years. They all have 34 to 37 providers. So what that tells you is that we are not creating a brand new market here, but this is a market that's been in place for some time. We're joining that market, and a lot of the folks that have done business in this region are expanding to Lubbock, which is good. When you get to the Power to Choose website, you're going to want to have 12 months of electric usage. Easiest way to get that is if you log on to your City of Lubbock Utilities account, you can download all your bills going back 12 months. But if you just look at the bill that you get in the mail, on the electric side, there's a bar chart, and it'll tell you what you used this month, last month, and this month last year, but it'll have all of your months on that bar chart. You want to have a relative idea of how much you use. On average, do I use 800, 1,000, 1,500 kilowatt hours? What do I use normally? I say our average customer on the residential side uses about 750 kilowatt hours in the winter months, and they use about 1,400 kilowatt hours in the summer months. And so you always hear me out there saying, hey, when we get to summer, from May to June to July, your usage is going to go up, and that's true. So you want to account for both sides of it. So I'm going to skip through here. As I say, when you type in your zip code, it's going to tell you how much do you use on an average basis on a month. It's going to ask you, are you interested in a fixed rate or a variable plan? And very quickly, let me say, there's a lot of definitions of variable. What this is not what you read about in the papers after Winter Storm Uri, where you saw people in Dallas and Fort Worth that got $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 bills. Those types of plans are not available anymore. Those were plans where basically customers could just go and they could basically go at the whims of the market. They don't have that type of product anymore because people got exposed on it. So when they say variable, you're going to want a fixed plan. But variable is something that month to month, your price could change based off their cost. You're going to want to go a fixed plan as much as you possibly can. Most folks do. Now, this may be hard to see, and so I'll kind of tell you what we're looking at here. But this is what you're going to see once you type the zip code in and it populates all the available plans. It's going to start with the lowest cost offering. So this is a screenshot from Midland from about 3 weeks ago. And so you can see that I've typed in Midland zip code. It has populated about 120 different plans from those 34 different providers. And the first plan that you get to is 11.4 cents per kilowatt hour compared to our 13.2 cents I mentioned a minute ago. You can put that in real dollars by saying your average customer uses 1,000 kilowatt hours over the course of a year, which means that if I use 1,000 kilowatt hours, I would pay for that first offering, I'd pay $114 versus $132 for us. That's a quick way that you can do the math on what the difference is between these. It's just whatever that number is, times it by 1,000, because that's typically what your average user is going to use. But what you'll find is, if you go to that first offering, that company has a 1-star rating. Probably means that they don't offer as many products, customer service-wise. It probably means that their fee structure on the back end is going to be more, right? Your rate is lower, but what I'm deducing from that is that in other areas, things may cost more. And I'll talk a little bit how you can check that in a second. But what you can do, and I'm just going to talk to you as I do this, there's a filters bar on the left side of the screen. And so you can go through and you can decide, I want to narrow this down. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to pick companies that only have a 4 and a 5-star rating. And just for the sake of illustration, let's say that you're somebody that really wants 100% green product. You want all of your power to come from wind and solar. You care about that. You want a 0 carbon footprint. You know it's going to cost a little bit more, but you care about that. You can click that right there. And what ends up happening is that the pricing will change. All of a sudden, instead of your lowest cost offering being 11.4 cents, your lowest cost offering may be 13.5 cents or 14 cents. So you're right there in the ballpark of where LP&L's rate is, but you've really narrowed down and made yourself a niche plan that you would like to go with. So what that tells you is you can make this decision as simple or as complex as you want to make it. You can sit here and say, I really only care about having the lowest possible cost that I can and achieve that. Or you can really narrow down. And as you click these filters, it's going to narrow down the numbers of plans that you have to choose from. So you might have started with 134, But after saying only 5-star companies that do 100% green, you may have 10 plans to choose from, right? And so you can start drilling down. But what you want to do, no matter how you go through this process, before you click through and click sign up with this particular plan, every single one of these providers has to offer you a fact sheet. And this fact sheet can't have fine print. And it's got to be apples to apples as it could possibly be, so that customers know exactly what they're signing up for. And so if you click that fact sheet, it's going to give you a one-pager. And it's going to tell you up top, this is your rate per usage. It's going to explain what a base charge is, like I talked to you a minute ago, right? It's going to explain to you what all their different charges are, but then that's where you're going to see your contract length is going to be spelled out in there. You're going to see it on the front end to say, okay, this plan is, let me back up here. So if I go to this top one, this 11.4, this is a fixed rate for 3 months. So you're really just signing a short-term deal. That could also be why it's cheaper. You're just signing that short-term deal. You go down, you might have offerings that are 2 years, 24 months, and that may affect pricing. But when you click through on this fact sheet, it'll list there, but it'll also list things like, if I break the contract early, what is my termination fee? How much am I going to pay? What is my deposit going to be? I'm being very upfront in every group that I talk to you to say that deposits are going to be a part of this equation. Everybody is signing up with a new provider. If you moved from Lubbock to Austin today and signed up with Austin Energy, using a municipal utility like us, you would pay a deposit for them. Same thing here. But they're going to spell in here what your deposit is and how and when you get that back. With LP&L, we return everybody's deposits automatically after 12 months of good pay. They're going to list in here if that's their policy, if it's 6 months, if it's longer than that. They're going to tell you how they return that deposit policy. If you get disconnected, what are the fees to get reconnected? All of those things are going to be listed in their fee chart here. And so you want to take a look at that. I mentioned earlier that first offering that was a low-priced offering, it's 3 months and it's low cost, but you may get to the backside here and it may say that you've got a way higher, you've got a $500 deposit. Or if you break your plan, it's a way higher amount, or they don't have the ability to offer full customer service, and so a call into customer service is going to cost you $20, right? I'm making that up, but I'm telling you, they have to list these things on here. And that's why I tell everybody, go read this. It's not fine print, and you know exactly what you're getting into. And I think, we've got, in the crowd today, we've got folks that are going to be some of these retail providers. And I think to a person, they would all tell you that they preach making sure that everybody reads these so they know exactly what they're signing up for. On the Power to Choose, they've got a user's guide you can go through, but to be honest with you, you have it in your hands today. I went to the Public Utility Commission, got their permission, but basically that is public utility information from the PUC in Texas that I've included in your handouts. We wanted to make sure that we tailored it to our program so you know what you're doing, but we also wanted to make sure that you knew your rights and you knew everything as it's stated on the PUC's website. So I've included that as well. Real quick, we've talked about the shopping window. If you go to our website, this is what the list of reps looks like. I've listed them alphabetically. I don't want to play favorites, so I listed them alphabetically. But for every single one of these providers, it's going to have their email, it's going to have their website, it's going to have the phone number to contact. We're working very closely with the entire market to make sure that we are giving out information for each and every rep that's accurate. And so we published this last week. We've been editing this every day since then as different retail electric providers come on here and say, you know what, this is the right number versus that. And so we've worked through all of those things. I think everybody's going to where they need to go now. But that's where I say you can go on here today and you can call these folks and talk to them. You don't have to, but you can. What we list here in this chart, it's in your packet, but it's on the website. We also list out what areas these different providers operate in. Most are going to offer residential and business plans, but there are some that only offer residential. There's some that only offer business. We've got one in there that only does large industrial customers. That's their forte. So you're going to see all that on there. If you're somebody that has solar panels, we've listed out or we've checked all the boxes for all the reps that have specific offerings for people with solar panels, because that's a different type of a rate. And you're likely going to be able to get something that you've not gotten from others in the past, which is a buyback rate from these folks that have solar panel rates in the market. And the last box is important. We check who is authorized to go door to door. It's very important. As the council member mentioned, we're trying to avoid scammers and impersonators coming to your door that are not supposed to be there. So in order to come to your door, you have to get a peddler's permit from PD. We've worked very closely with the police department to make sure that everybody that has authorization to come to your home is listed on here. So if somebody shows up at your door, they need to have a logo of the company that they're working for. They need to have photo ID, and then you can double check to see if the company that they're representing is on this list, if you're worried. I would also tell you that if anybody, and this really goes across the board, if anybody comes to your front door trying to sell you on something, you don't have to do anything today. Take their information and call them. And I'd say that's a good way to make sure that you're dealing with the right folks. If you're at all nervous about who's at your front door, take their information, but say, I'll contact you. Go check on the website to see if they're legitimate. Double check to see if they've given you the right number to contact, or just go directly to this number. Call them. If they've got people going door to door in Lubbock, I guarantee you their call center folks know that. So that's just a way to stay safe as we go through this process. Last thing I'll say is this. January 5th, February 15th, 6 weeks to make your selection. But if you don't, we have accounted for that. We went through a months and months and months long process. It was a public bid process in order to make a determination of who the default providers are going to be. And there's 3 of them. There's Reliant, there's TXU, and there's Octopus Energy. We used internal staff. We used folks that we brought in from the community. We tried to make sure members of the city finance staff were on there. We tried to make sure we had a large group that went through and did a blind selection process to get these 3 reps. But if you don't choose, when we get to March, you will be automatically assigned to one of these 3 providers. They will take you on for 90 days. They're required to give you a rate that is right there middle of the market. And the reason we did this, and I say it's the most important decision that the council and board has made in this process, is that as much as I go out here and I talk to folks, we're going to miss people. As much as people want to get this done, there will be people that won't, either because they forget, they don't know how, they don't have internet at their house. There's a lot of reasons why. But we wanted to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks and that everybody lands with a reputable provider as we go into the market. And then if you're one that's defaulted and you want to jump out and go pick your own provider on day one, you can do that. But we don't want anybody's lights going out as we make this move to everybody's new reps. So this is basically the safety net that catches folks if they don't choose. And we're going to work really hard. Spaces like this, the libraries are already doing a really good job of passing out this information and making computers available. So, and if you come down to City of Lubbock Utilities, we've got these handouts there too. We're trying to make sure that we find out every avenue that we can get people in front of a computer or give them the ability to make this decision. But if they don't, they'll land where they need to land for the first part of this process. I will tell you, because I've seen this out there a lot, we as LPNL, the city council as the city, we're not directing you to pick anyone, especially these 3. We're not in that business. It's very against the law for us to go out there and recommend anyone to anybody. These are just simply the safety net providers if you don't choose. I hope that you do. I hope that you go through this process and that you land where you want to land. But you'll be okay if you don't, or if you have a family member that doesn't at the first start of this process. So that's kind of the run through. Obviously, follow us on social media and go to the website I mentioned a bunch. But from here, I'll flip it over and take questions. And we've got some handhelds to
Do
pass
this
out so
side,
everybody
Matt, you
can
do
hear.
that side. Raise your hand. Okay.
Okay, this is more for the providers, a question for the providers. It would be nice if they could utilize our community media, like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to embarrass you, Christy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is where we get most of our information here,
Yeah.
or a lot of our information is the local or our community papers, our
Yes.
community media. And it would be nice if they could show support for the community to advertise in this. I looked through it, didn't see any ads from any of the, I mean, it's a good source of information.
No, I think that's absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. I think we have a lot of, like Latino Lubbock. I think we've got a lot of publications that
Right.
hit very specific groups and broader audiences. One thing that I've been very encouraged about is that as these folks have come into town, they have started advertising. They have started doing sponsorships. You see them around town getting involved in groups, and I want them to continue. I hope they continue doing that. One of the things we did in terms of choosing the default reps is we actually put a pretty heavy percentage on, one, what is the involvement in the communities that you've been in all the markets that you work in, and number two, what offerings do you have to low-income citizens, the most vulnerable folks out there, folks that regularly utilize the assistance agencies that we have in town today. They will still be there at their disposal, but on top of that, what can you bring to bear in terms of helping these underserved customers? So we're trying to make sure that they continue to offer those things. But that's a really good point. I don't think there's any one silver bullet in terms of advertising that's going to hit everybody, and I hope that they do continue to expand out.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so you have to have a computer to sign up? What if you don't have a computer? What if you can't come down here and use one?
So if you don't have a computer,
I got another question.
Oh,
Your
sorry.
deposit.
Sir?
You're talking of a deposit.
Oh.
Do we give them cash? Do we give them a credit card?
Right. Okay. So 2-3 different things. One, as I mentioned, we're going to have community event centers, and we're going to have libraries where folks can go to access the computer to do this. But another thing that we're going to have that's really big that I didn't mention is that when we get to that shopping window, January through February, we're going to hold a series of shopping fairs at the Civic Center, where we're inviting all of the reps that are authorized to do business to come in to take a booth space and allow folks over, I think it's 5 different days during that 6-week period, and we may expand that even more, but allow people 5 different days that they can go up to the Civic Center and they can meet these folks in person. They can talk to them, they can collect information, they can sign up right then and there on the spot if they want to. I've told these reps, I will give you the space, I'll provide the booth and the curtains and everything that you need for privacy. You bring whatever you need to win over folks. And so we're going to really try to drive people to these shopping fairs, especially those that don't have the ability at their home to do research on the internet for whatever reason there may be. There's one, we don't have the ability to mandate this, but we have stressed over and over and over again that folks in Lubbock like a local presence when it comes to doing business with people, and that having a presence here in Lubbock would be valuable. I just look at the number of in-person visits and basically paying your bill in person. I look at how many people go through the City of Lubbock Utilities Call Center every month who come down and pay at those kiosks with cash, and it's a sizable amount. So we've stressed to them that that needs to be a part of their ingratiation into Lubbock. But all of them will have Western Union payment stations and things like that if you are somebody that pays in cash. So
If you have a question, raise your hand.
My question is, my mom is on a fixed income and she's on a program that helps her pay her electricity. Are they gonna still be able to do that?
yes, the city still has their community development department that receives the federal funds that people utilize today. You're still going to have Neighborhood House, Catholic Charities, and these that Salvation Army, Vet Star. You're still going to have those that operate in that space. But you're also likely to have, hopefully, further assistance programs from these different providers. You raise a good point, which is there are people that have utilized particular products over a long period of time. I know one in particular because I really got kicked in the teeth when we had to roll off budget billing. That was not a happy time for us because people had utilized budget billing for a long period of time. But as that goes, right, you have to true it up every year. And so when we got to this last year in the market, that was that point in time that we had to roll off budget billing and then have folks pay that out. But if you're somebody that liked budget billing, they'll offer those programs, look for them and sign up for it. Just like the assistance programs, they should have as many, if not more, moving forward.
Okay.
And if I can just add, if you need assistance, we do have the Neighborhood House and all the programs that he mentioned. Also, call 211, and they will be able to help you locate some assistance if necessary.
Oh, I was just wondering, are they pushing for the whole neighborhood easier to put that one service in their one neighborhood, or do you can still decide individually?
All individually, house by house. Right now, I've answered this question for 10 years where people will say, do you guys set rates based off of my neighborhood? No, we do not. No, we do not. You can see, you'll type in your zip code, and it doesn't matter what zip code you have, as long as you're in our service territory and qualify to be in this competition, you're going to get the same offerings. But as we go forward, neighbor by neighbor by neighbor, naturally everybody's going to start having a different electric rate because you're going to pick different plans and providers as we go forward. But no, it's all just, and I get this question a lot. If you live in an apartment complex, if you live in a senior living facility, right, who makes this decision? The quick answer is if your name is on the bill and on the account, and if you pay the bill, you make the decision. If you live in an apartment complex where it's an all bills paid situation, the landlord is the one that will make that decision. And we've got businesses that have, 1,000, 2,000 rental houses across the city. Same sort of deal. If it's through your landlord, then they're the decision maker. If you pay, you are. So.
Matt, how many people did you cut off last month?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know how to ballpark that. I really wouldn't.
In the debates the other night, they said 1 in 6 people can't pay their bill. What are our provisions if you have medical equipment or babies?
It
You can't pay your bill.
it's the same as we were discussing a minute ago. We're going to have the same assistance agencies that are available here in Lubbock as we move forward. You're going to have different plans with these different providers that can help, payment arrangements and things of that nature if you need it. And then, like I say, as we go forward, it's really, I would really, if you are somebody, and I say this as we're in the market today, and I've said it in the past, and I'll say it as we go forward. If you're somebody that knows that you're going to come up against a hard period of time, or you're somebody that knows as you go in the summertime, get with your provider early, just like with us. Let them know you're going to have issues. Let them help you find programs that can help you, there are millions of dollars in government assistance that can help low-income folks in these situations. and they can help you get there. But just don't ever wait until you get disconnected, because then your options go down to almost nil. Because these assistance agencies here locally that are great, they have restrictions that say that they can't pledge towards accounts that have been disconnected. And so I just say that will remain as we go forward.
I think Gwen was first, right there.
Oh. And yes. Except that you can logically imagine that maybe insurance, this will allow you to sign up on shorter terms than you would with, but as a larger picture, yes. Cell phones, internet plans, insurance, those types of things, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Have any local providers committed to providing a physical location in town?
I don't have that number. I know there's one that has offices already.
And you can pay your bill at that office?
I don't believe so yet. I'm not yet.
Okay.
And I honestly don't know what their plans are outside of that local office. I don't. I know that there's at least one, and it may be one that you're thinking of or referencing, that says they will absolutely have a presence here. And one of the things that we likely can do without, playing favorites or differentiating, is that when we get to that, if you've got a local office and pay options, we can list that and highlight that on our list of providers. Because that is something that we've told the market. If you do this and make that commitment, that'll have a positive impact on the back end. So I've made that commitment that I'll advertise those types of contact information.
You kept saying about the deposit. I was wondering,
Yes.
So what is the longest contract that do you know? Because I don't want to switch companies every 2 years and have to pay a deposit again.
I mean, normally 12 to 24 months is what you're going to see, but I've seen 36-month deals. If you are somebody who has a deposit on file with LP&L, your deposit will be returned to you when we get to that final bill. Everybody, if you sign into your City of Lubbock Utilities account today, you will have basically a letter of credit that you can use, but you can also ask for one from us that we can email to you or that we can mail out to you, or if you come in, we can give to you. They will accept these letters of credit as a way to avoid a deposit. So not everybody will necessarily, if you have a good payment history, then you are somebody that can qualify to get your deposit waived. And to your point, I got this question last week. Let's say that you switch every 2 years. Logically, your deposit should have been returned to you by the time you got to the end of that 2-year run. And if it hasn't, they have to legally return that to you, and you can use that to pay your deposit on the next. The only reason they wouldn't is if for some reason you walked a balance, and then as I say, that's really the reason why you have deposits, so that everybody else doesn't absorb.
I have really good credit with my utility company, but what I'm saying is, I don't want to have to, even though like with LP&L, they just took it off of my bill, my deposit.
Yes.
So I didn't actually get that money back.
And
And are they going to do that at other companies?
well, that's one thing you can ask up front. Not just what is your deposit, but what is your deposit policy? How do you apply it to my first bill? When do I get it back? Do y'all do a check refund or do y'all do a credit? How does that weigh out? And that's an important thing to ask.
Yeah, because you have to come up with that money again, even though it's been credited to me.
Sure. No, I think that's fair, and that's why I say, up front, make sure you know. And look, some may charge $150. Some may charge the average of your 2 lowest months billings. Right? It's going to differ from one to one, but it's going to be somewhere in that $150 to $200 range.
And Matt, I know there's a couple of companies that do not require a deposit, but you'll end up paying more or.
Yeah, I mean, there are options where you can get around paying deposit. I would just make sure that you're not then in essence paying more every single month until you run your contract out, for sake of not paying a refundable deposit up front. But no, that's right. You know, you can, you know, prepaid plans and things like this. You know, one of the nice things about this is that as long as I've been with LPNL, every policy that we put in place, it affects everybody, and we can't really single anybody out, right? One of the nice things about this is that somebody can kind of, company to company, you can find somebody that's more tailored to what you like or what you want to do. If you want to do a prepaid plan, you can do that because there are companies that will offer those. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, you seem to have a smorgasbord of payment plans and down payments. Will this all be in writing before we get it? So that we won't be blindsided at the last minute?
That's, I lost it. That goes back to the fact sheet that I showed up there, that one pager before you sign up. Every single one of these providers has to show you that fact sheet. And if you're on the powertochoose.org, it'll be there before you sign up, and it'll tell you every single one of these different fees so that they're all listed out. And again, not in fine print. It's got to be in a one pager, as we showed on the screen. Matt will unlock the computer, and I'll go back to that screen real quick, but that's where you'll find all that information. Now, if you want to go right now and go, you know, website by website, if you don't want to type in Midland zip code, right, and take a look, you can go through and, this. So again, before you click sign up, there's that fact sheet right there. You'll click on that, and that's what's going to list out all your different fees and these things. Now, what you may want to do in asking these companies about their information, if you're somebody that is interested and needs assistance, is they'll have packets that they can give you in terms of what are all your different payment plans and options and assistance packages on top of just what's available at the city today. You can request that as well. They'll certainly give you that information.
Something to also note is, did y'all see the customer rating? Did you see that on there? Those ratings are from other customers just like you. So to me, that was important. When I went to Midlands and I saw, to me, I think those companies seem to understand the needs of the folks. So something to think about also.
So I'll take her out of the fire a little bit here in that when we make this transition, if you have an issue with your provider, your recourse is the Public Utility Commission, and they have a consumer response or complaint process. It's on their website up front, and you'll log whatever your issue is with your provider to the PUC because they regulate these providers. And at least in some part, if not large part, that's what populates those customer ratings. So if you go through there and you see a company that has a 1-star rating, it may be because folks went with them and they said, this provider didn't really offer any sort of plans, programs, or otherwise. And it also may be populated by customers that have had issues with those providers. Everybody is going to get mad at their electric provider at some point in time.
I get mad at y'all every other month.
Yeah, look, some get it more than others, but everybody's going to get mad at some point in time. Nobody's perfect, but that's over the long term of it. That's what's going to populate those customer ratings is exact customer reviews. Yes, ma'am.
I was here for the last meeting, and I didn't see this many people that we have to talk to, and I thought there were only a few companies that we were gonna be in. So I don't like to talk to computers, and I don't want to respond for computers. So is these people gonna answer their phones or whatever, a person? Because I will not talk to a computer.
They will. And look, we asked them to provide us with the number that will take folks to where they need to be, calling from Lubbock in terms of talking to these providers.
Okay, and there's a lot of people they're gonna really, I know a few that I was a volunteer with seniors, and there was a lot of people that don't read or write, or speak English, and they're gonna need help. Will there be somebody can understand and help them? like
Right.
with a deposit and, you know, I think Lubbock Wind Power and Light, since we have to move, they should do the deposit.
Okay. Well, that's against the law. That's against the law.
Because, you know, if our engineers would have
That's-
made us affordable so we can keep the Lubbock and Lubbock Power and Light, we didn't have to go through this. So I think they owe us something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Look, there are things that we legally can and can't do. And obviously picking up every deposit is not something we can legally do. Even if we wanted to do that, can't do that. I get your point that there's issues with people that don't speak English and not, which is why we tried to provide everything in English and Spanish, videos, so that hopefully folks can watch that as well. Ultimately, have to make this decision. But if you call these providers, they'll have Spanish-speaking operators, just as they'll have English-speaking CSRs. And I just encourage you to call them, because I think you will be able to talk to somebody live, and I think they will walk you through it. I really do. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. A lot of us got here late, and those slides are really have a lot of information on. Is there any way that you could email us the slide presentation?
It is on the website, downloadable in English and Spanish. So this slide deck that I went through tonight, it's up on the website, and every time that I update it before talking to groups, we update it on the website as well. But it's a good reminder for anybody who walked in. Like I said, all the material in the back, everything I've shown on the screen, it's all on our website for you to take a look at and download if you'd like.
Anna, there's also a QR code on the printed material.
Yes.
So you can scan that and it'll take you right to the
Yes.
website.
I got one question. Since Lubbock's not going to supply any power for the city of Lubbock, who's going to operate the power plant here?
Okay, it's a good question. So we have been in the process of getting out of the power plant business since about 2015. So the plants that you see here in Lubbock that are active today, there's 3 power plants. The one that's out on Slayton Highway, that's primarily been shut down since about 2017. And the one that you see on I-27, that one still operates. And then the one on the Tech campus still operates. But if you put everything that we have together, it equals about 100 megawatts, where we need about 600 megawatts in Lubbock. And so we are in the process of completely getting out of that business. And we are primarily buying all of the power that we supply to customers today. So basically all of the power that you consume this summer, we bought last summer. So we bought early, we bought blocks of electricity, so we would have enough available and ready for our customers this summer. That's what these reps are doing as well. Whether they have ties into a power plant or whether they're buying it straight out of the market, they're basically looking at Lubbock and they're making sure that they've got enough load for every customer that they sign on, even though we're not in generating any power here in Lubbock.
Okay, now the next question is, how much assistance does Lubbock get from these windmills?
So it's interesting. We may not buy that power, but a lot of the power that's running through our city is from wind power. And what's interesting is that when we built the transmission lines to hook up to ERCOT, we built about 160 miles of transmission line going northeast and south to hook into the transmission lines. Transmission lines are the very large electrical lines that you see carrying power, across the countryside, right? When you go outside the city and you see those gigantic towers, those are carrying 345,000 volts of electricity. And as it gets into the city, all right, it goes down to 23,000 volts and then to your house. So all of those 345,000 volt lines that connect us to the ERCOT market actually created a wind export path from the Panhandle that's allowing more wind to flow into the market. And so we're actually consuming probably majority wind power here in Lubbock, even though we're not buying it. It's going kind of the greater pool, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Will LPNL charge an extra fee?
No.
There won't be nothing, it's just what's on the website, right?
Your 30% of your rate that you pay will come to us to pay for the lines and the maintenance. But you're not paying 30% on top of, right? It's baked into your rate. So when I looked at so this plan right here that's 11.4 cents, that includes Frontier Utilities' cost of the power that they bought, but that 11.4 cents also includes what Encore is charging them in Midland to use their lines. That's all wrapped up in that 11.4 cents. That'll be the same way with us. Whatever you see on that screen will already include our cost of maintaining the wires and the equipment, cost for linemen, those types of items. No, I do absolutely, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. There are some customers that have not called their utility company in 10 years, and so it's not factoring in. There's other folks that for whatever reason need to contact their utility company once a month, once every other month, and so I think the customer service ratings play a huge part in deciding which one of these companies is going to be what you're describing. But I also think as you go through and you look at those ones with the higher rating and you have those conversations, I think it's important to ask those questions, right? What is your level of customer service for somebody like myself that likes to constantly communicate? Also, what tools do you have available? Because if you think about it too, right now, you call in City of Lubbock Utilities. If you want to talk to somebody, conduct business, you're calling in. Do some of these companies, and folks here may not, do they have an app that you can use? Do they have a fully integrated like chat box on their website? So if I need something really quick, I can go. So whatever your best means of communicating, I would ask them, what is your wherewithal in that area? What tools and technology do you have? Because I really, when I conduct business with my utility provider, I really like to talk to them on the phone, or I really just want to get, access to them like their chat box. So I think it's an important thing to ask. I can't tell you universally who the best one is, but I know exactly where you're going on that. We will have people that can give you access to the information. We'll have people that can do that, but our folks are not allowed to help people shop, and that's where we have to draw that line. And so I get your point, but no, there's not somebody that can sit down and walk through and help individuals shop. No, sure. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah. That's fair. Sure.
And Matt, just.
Sure.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, don't forget this event that's going to be held at the Civic Center where you can meet with the different companies. When is that, Matt?
So we're gonna announce those dates, but I'll tell you right now, it'll be January 5th and 6th, which is a Friday, Saturday. It'll be January 22nd and 23rd, which is a Monday and a Tuesday, and February 10th, which is a Saturday. And we make Civic Center. Yes. Yes, January 5th and 6th, January 22nd and 23rd, and February 10th. Very heavily.
Yeah.
Very heavily, because that's our main point of contact to get y'all with the reps. So TV advertising, billboards, print advertising, everything we can do to drive folks out. Hey.
Hey, so I was doing some research and I thought I read somewhere that if you are 65 and older, you might be able to get your deposit waived. Do you know anything about that?
I do, and it's my understanding that, and if you look through the packet, I think there are other ways to get your deposit waived too, and a 65 and older exemption is one of them. So, thank you for pointing that out. I've forgotten about that.
Can I point out also that we have Gwen Stafford? A lot of you may know her. She used to be the CEO of UMC Hospital. Gwen, will you stand up and wave? Yes, please.
So Gwen is our current, she's the chair of the Electric Utility Board.
I always love coming to this meeting because you all ask such good questions. I think the important part is enjoy the holidays. Is that better?
Yeah, you got to
Is
speak
that
right
better?
into it.
Okay. The message today is enjoy your holidays because this doesn't start until January 5th. So get through Thanksgiving, enjoy your Christmas, and then we'll have things at the Civic Center that you can go and ask all of those questions. I think the most important thing is it's like you're going to the prom and you're going to have a date and you want to know a whole lot of things about that date. Now, you may decide, I don't want to decide, I'm not going to do it. And so the policy is those default providers, those 3 people, you'll be assigned one of those. And once they're assigned to you, they'll say, hello, I'm da-da-da, I'm going to be your provider. And you have another 90 days to say, yes, I want you to be my permanent date to the prom, or say, no, I'm going to change and go to someone else. So it really is the power to choose. But I would encourage you to do those. I think in the little handout it has that Dave Letterman top 10 questions to ask. Do I need a deposit? Does it cost me anything to disconnect? Does it cost me if I have to call you for something? So just keep asking and digging so that you find the one that's a good match for you. Dr. Ramirez, I love having you on the board. Christy, that was a wonderful suggestion. And Christy does a great job, and of course, Matt's a superstar. So just enjoy the holidays. We'll go to the races January 5th.
And in our case, it's not the prom, it's the quinceañera and the boda. So, and si habla español también ella.
But I'll also say, and I bet you won't dispute me on this. I bet you this is not the last time that we have a District 1 meeting related to this either. So
we'll have more.
You know what I love is that I saw folks here that were coming in the spring, and they're coming here, but I also saw a lot of new people. So when we do this again, please grab some of these folks that you know that have questions and whatever else, and bring them along. But definitely make sure you get them those shopping fairs. It's the most important thing I could say is that's really going to be where we get a lot of folks signed up.
And also, we'll be doing some interviews with Magic and a whole bunch of folks and answering questions, and we're going to keep reminding. So don't feel like you're just going to go into this on your own. You are not alone. We are here. These guys have been planning. LP&L has done a wonderful job. And I know folks have said, well, why do y'all have to do this? It's partially to give you the opportunity for competitive market, but also because we have to, right, Matt?
Well, I'll just say this. Lubbock had competition for many, many years, and it went away in 2010. Now, it was a version of A versus B choice, right? but it went away. When we looked at this, if we were ever going to bring any form of competition to Lubbock, it was going to be as we made this migration. It's nearly impossible to go from a standstill to deregulating and doing this because you just have way too many ties. So I know that 100% of Lubbock is not going to stand up and cheer for choosing, and I get that. I understand. But our process right now is to make sure that we get as much information in front of you as we can so that you can make a good decision. And I guarantee you may already be tired and sick of me. You'll hate my guts by March, but I'm going to keep hammering this home. So I look forward to more of this. And thank y'all for coming out.
Will you give Matt a round of applause? I just want to remind you of a few things. We do have a lot happening in District 1. You don't always see it immediately. We've got new streets coming to our neighborhoods that hadn't had new streets in 30 and 40 years. That's happening. We're going to have a splash park that you can look forward to, and it's going to be beautiful. We have really gotten to give some input in that. I've got a banner project happening on North University. We have a lot of different things, so don't hesitate to call. Of course, as I mentioned, come to the council meetings. You're always welcome. And, sometimes they're long. If you want to make comments, come and join us. We're here for you. I'm here for you. So, again, thank you so much for coming tonight. And if you have any questions, like I said, we're here. And again, thank you. Good night. God bless you all.